We're here with Doug Nierman. Doug, you're the winemaker at Zerba Cellars, as our 2011 Pacific Northwest Winery of the Year. Tell us a little bit first about your background.
Well, ended up moving to California from Washington State about 10 years ago when I got the wine bug. Ended up working first in Sonoma and then in Napa, and actually ended up going to Davis to work on my master's degree, which completed in 2003, actually after I had just moved back up to Washington State, to Walla Walla.
Okay, and when did you start at Zerba?
Zerba, 4 years ago.
Okay.
So before that, my first gig, I guess, in Walla Walla was at Long Shadows, which was a 6-month kind of temporary position, harvest deal. That summer. After that is when I finished up my master's, and then the next fall went over to Pepperbridge. Spent some time with JF there.
Okay.
For harvest.
All right.
So.
We've noticed, especially in the last 18 months, that these remarkable red wines come out of Zerba, and it doesn't seem to matter what variety it is, whether it's Bordeaux or Iberians or Syrahs. It just seems like every wine coming out of your guys' cellar is top notch. Can you talk a little bit about your winemaking style and your philosophy behind that?
Yeah. Well, we do produce a lot of different wines, probably upwards to 20 different varietals, which we do grow all of those varietals. We supplement a little bit from neighboring Walla Walla vineyards as well, just for extra diversity. We're pretty, I like to kind of say low tech. That's a lot of hands-on. We do 1.5 ton fermenters, just basic couple punch downs a day, but just trying to be, on top of it involved. I do a lot of the punch downs myself. Well, historically, that's starting to change a little bit, bringing on a little more help. Mm-hmm. But we really try to keep everything separate. So we've got a lot of those varietals. We have 1 acre or 2 acres planted, and we will cellar those separately. So we have a lot of 2, 3, 4 barrel lots, which ends up being a lot of extra work, but you keep them all separate until we get ready to sit down for blending, and end up with just a lot of tools and options to go with.
What's your favorite wine that you produce? You have a lot of babies in there, but
yeah, they're all. I've been partial to our Cab Franc for the past few years, but we recently started playing with Petit Verdot. Ended up pulling it out. It had historically gone into our red blend, but it finally got the quality level got there, and plus we added a third higher elevation site vineyard, the Cockburn Vineyard in the upper southeast corner of the valley. That is where we have the majority of all those varietals planted, and that is just an excellent site. So Petit Verdot coming out of there, Grenache, Mourvedre, Nebbiolo. There's the usual Bordeaux suspects, but a ton of other options to work with. And
so a lot of your fruit is estate. Talk about some of these estate vineyards, and are you hands-on in the vineyard as well?
Yeah, for the most part, vineyards are run by Cecil Zerba, which originally he did initial winemaking as well before I got there, which he set the quality bar pretty high. So I've kind of just been keeping it where it's at, or slowly trying to creep up quality levels. For the vineyard, I get out there just to try to make sure, okay, yeah, we said we were going to do leaf pulling, or said we we're going to do this. Did it happen? Does it need to be, reworked? Most of the time in the vineyards that I spend is just getting closer to harvest, obviously, for picking decisions, which gets challenging when you're looking at, between our 3 vineyards, 30, 40 different blocks that you need to try to stay up on a semi-weekly basis.
Zerba is, I think, unique in the Northwest in that you have 3 tasting room locations in 2 different states. Do you deal with that side much at all, or are you mostly staying
a little bit? But for the most part, I'm a pretty hands-on winemaker, which means it's tough for me to get out of the cellar, just because I have one person right now that's helping me. So between the two of us, we're doing in that 10,000 case range, which is quite a bit for 2 people. So it makes it hard to break away. But like this, winter is a little bit slower time. So February, March, even January, we'll try to get out to the tasting rooms just to do a little help support and get out to just various festivals. So.
And you guys seem to have successfully bridged the Columbia River, if you will, between Washington and Oregon. part of that is being located in Oregon, but having the Woodinville tasting room and now the Carlton tasting room, it's got to be kind of fun for you to be able to have more people able to get access to your wines.
Right. No, absolutely. I mean, the main impetus for that is once winter comes, the passes get nasty or the gorge gets nasty, it's our Western Washington and Portland people slow down the traffic coming into the valley over here. So, yeah, obviously just go to where the people are at, Woodinville, and actually the other tasting room is Dundee. But yeah, great locations, and it's kind of fun. We're the first Walla Walla Winery to go into the Willamette Valley, but that precedent's been set in Woodinville before we got that idea.
Right.
But it's so far pretty successful.
Okay. Anything interesting coming out that new that you guys are doing, or is it more of the Merlots and Cabs?
Well, we've got our Merlots and Cabs. That's what we started on in Syrah. We have just releasing a GSM blend for Valentine's Day. That's coming up, which is fun. A fun wine.
So that's more of a Southern Rhone style? Okay.
Yeah, it's actually right on thirds Grenache Syrah Mourvèdre.
Okay.
Just did 6 barrels of that, so a pretty small release. And then our first Nebbiolo from the Cockburn Vineyard is bottle aging right now. We're looking to possibly release that for spring release first weekend in May this year, but we'll wait and see how it's tasting.
You can probably count on one hand how many Nebbiolos are done in the Northwest. Is this the first one in the Walla Walla Valley? Or maybe one other.
I think Morrison Lane has been doing a Nebbiolo.
That was my guess.
I'm not sure where they source the grapes from. But it's rare. It's a little challenging. It doesn't like the colder winters, so we're getting just a few barrels every year. So it's but it's fun.
Kind of exciting, because that's really one of those, when you think of the great red grape varieties of the world, that always comes up kind of near the top of the list with Cab and Pinot Noir.
Right, absolutely. And Walla Walla Valley has a pretty strong Italian immigrant history, so it's kind of fun to play with, the Sangiovese, the Barbera. We do a Dolcetto now, which is excellent, and now the Nebbiolo. So we're kind of branching out.
Just great. Well, Doug, anything else to add?
Not really. Just, blessed with great fruit, great vineyards. We're farming about 80 acres right now, 60 in full production, 20 that's coming on. So we're going to add a couple new varietals there. Have a Riesling that's coming in. And yeah, just excited for the future. So.
All right. Well, Doug, thanks for your time.
Okay, thanks, Andy.